Okay, let's start with the demo. So I have a OpenShift environment already, and I will install first the Camel K operator through the operator hub. In this case, we search for Camel K, so we can see the Camel K operator, and then we can install that as part of the community operators. It will create all the dependencies required for running on top of OpenShift. Here we're going to be installing and monitoring all the namespaces. So we'll use the defaults. As you can see, I have already installed some dependencies like MQ Streams, that it's the Red Hat version of StreamC for installing Kafka on Kubernetes, and also the Kafka operator for Knative, as well as OpenShift serverless, that is the dependency for Knative. As you can see, the Camel K operator is starting to install, so we just need to wait for the status to be success. Okay, now it is succeed. So let's go to Apache Camel page, and if you go to Camel K, the documentation, we can get started. We need the download from the release page, the CLI tool. So the latest version right now it's 1.1, so we can download, in my case, Mac binary file. Let's open a terminal. Let's make it a little bit bigger so we can take a better look. And now that we have already downloaded the Camel CLI, we just move to the serverless demo folder. Let's validate the version of Camel. So Camel version is 1.1 in the client. Let's log in into OpenShift using the OpenShift token. And we are in OpenShift. So Camel K will use this configuration. Let's create a namespace for our demo. In our case, it will create a namespace serverless demo. We will be working on this namespace. So let's create our file, our function file. So it's going to be JavaScript. So it's going to be called translate.js. Let's open that in Visual Studio Code. Let's open the file. Currently it's empty. Let's start coding. So we are going to be using the Camel DSL. So we will be using a REST endpoint. So from the REST main root, we're going to do a post method, and we're going to direct to our actual implementation for this endpoint. It's called direct.translate. So this is just going to be able to decouple from the REST endpoint. So let's start with the from our REST endpoint that it's called direct translate. And now that we have the body from that, we are just gonna update and set a simple response. Set body as simple response, that it's gonna be hello world. And that's enough. This is the only code we need for creating an endpoint. Let's check it on a terminal. Let's open a bash terminal and run camel run, and then the name of our file, translate.js. We're going to be running on developer mode, and we will be applying this service on the namespace serverless demo. Because we are using the developer mode, we are getting the actual log from the Camel application. So this is what it's happening. Currently, it started to create the integration, as it's called, the services by Camel K, and it's currently building the container image. So what the Camel K operator is doing is it has received my file. It knows that it needs to create a container image that has this the REST endpoint and the web server. So it will create all the Kubernetes components. So if we go to the to our OpenShift project, let's navigate to serverless demo. Now we are on the serverless demo. we can see that under builds, Camel K it has created a Camel K build that it's currently running, and it's creating the container image. So it created a project, and currently it's building a container image that is the container image that is going to be used by my service to deploy. So currently it has updated, so it finished running the build process, and now it's starting my my service, my function. In this case, because we are running on top of a Knative enabled OpenShift cluster, we can see that it is available, so it will create a Knative service. And that's all. My application now is running. You can see this is the Camel K log. It start my my Camel route, and it only took 0.117 seconds. So less than a second to create it. And if you go to the topology view on OpenShift, you can see that there's my service already running as a Knative service. So let's try it, right? We copy the URL, and then let's do a curl with a post method to that URL that we copy from OpenShift. And let's do the call. Yeah, that's all. Hello world, that's the actual expected result from our service. So it is working. It is connecting to the OpenShift cluster running on the cloud, and being able to get all that result. But then let's try, because we have a typo there. So it says world and it's missing a D. So let's save it, and automatically, because we're in developer mode, Camel K will detect the change and will update our function directly on the Kubernetes cluster. So we try another curl, and here it is, the hello world. Now it's fixed, and it's currently running on top of OpenShift. The Camel K updated. So let's do another update and add reload to the message, and then save, and then Camel K will detect that update and then redeploy the function. And we try to do again a new curl to the same endpoint. We can see now that the new message has been updated, and now we have our very nice hello world reloaded, being the return from the exact same endpoint. Pretty amazing, right? If we get back to the OpenShift console topology view, we can wait a few seconds, and we can see that our function, our service, it's going to be scaled down to 0. That's one of the benefits that we mentioned from serverless perspective, right? So it's terminating, and now it removed the pod. So there's no pods running actually at this service. So it's idle, and there's no resources being consumed by this function. This is one of the benefits from Knative, this scale to 0. So let's move this to the side, and then get back to our VS Code Studio. Let's try to call the service back again. Let's do the curl and request. Automatically, you can see that it starts to deploy and run our service, and voila, the answer is back. So it starts the application, and the application it's back online, and it's actually serving my my post method. So if we can do another curl, we can see that we continue to get the same result from the the Hello World reloaded application.